Hello there, Gemini. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot forecast. I am changing the format a little bit from what it's been the past few months. Instead of breaking this down into weeklies or into 4 different sections, I was running into some energies that were kind of repeating themselves. So I think we had it broken down too much. So now we're just going to take it and break it down into 2 sections. So for the first time frame that we're going to be working on, this is going to be January the 3rd through the 16th. If you want to see the first and the second, then you want to look at the end of December's forecast. But this is the 3rd through the 16th for those of you who are Geminis. Cross-watchers, you are certainly welcome to be here as long as you have the understanding that on my channel, energies do not switch over or cross over. So this reading is about the Geminis, and it's for the Geminis. If you're looking for some insight into what energies are affecting your Gemini friends right now, then you can feel free to watch, but know that this is about them. It's not about you. Okay? Let's take a peek and see what we've got for Gemini, for Gemini, for Gemini. All right, Geminis, Geminis, Geminis. The first thing that we're looking at for this time frame is going to be your environment, and it does look like you are making some plans about your environment. It looks like there's something that you haven't been enjoying so much about the environment that you're coming to a point of realizing it's not as bad as I thought it was. In fact, maybe I can do something sort of positive with this. Right now, I do think you're still in the planning stages of making those changes, though. I don't see it actually happening quite yet during this time frame, but I do feel like you're feeling encouraged because you're seeing something you can do to make that better. Excuse me. Next thing we're looking at is your subconscious leanings, Gemini. There has recently been an ending to something that was sort of a long-term tension or a long-term debate or argument or negotiation, basically. And it looks to me like you're thinking about, you know what, I don't even want to go back and restart that again. I don't want to go back into that energy again. That made me very unhappy. And so I think you're really focused on the idea of whatever this is that has ended. Your subconscious is focused on this idea of becoming determined no matter what to not go back into that because it's not happiness making for you. All right. Next thing that we have showing up here talks to me about 2 different things. Talks to me about your learning style and also your communication style during this time frame. I will say that right off the bat, the first thing that I'm seeing about your learning style is that you're learning about things that you care about. There are a lot of emotions around the things that you're learning at this moment. And I also feel like you've got a lot of information coming in. I don't feel like there's a lot of confusion here. I think you're finding a lot of information and a lot of details. All the information that you're wanting, I think you're finding in overflow. Okay? As far as communication style during this time frame, there is a little bit of moodiness going on in some of your communication right now, Geminis. And I think that is, that's bleeding through that communication that you're having. There are certain people that you're really not communicating with much at all. You're basically just telling them whatever it is that you feel like they need to know, and that is it. And then I do feel like there is somebody in your sphere of influence that is really restricting the amount of communication that the two of you are doing. For a lot of you, I think what's going on is this person is really busy and work is very much on their mind. And so because of that, they're just not taking time to communicate with you like they used to or like they normally would. Now, Looking next at work during this time frame. All right. What's happening here? I see that you're very hopeful about something that's happening at work or something that has to do with your work, but it seems like you're kind of hoping against the odds here, meaning I see this hopeful feeling, this kind of keep the faith type of feeling, but it looks to me like you're also getting some feedback that lets you know that not everybody else is so thrilled with this situation. And even maybe people who in the beginning really liked the situation, now they're more, um, yeah, not so happy with this, whatever this is that you are having high hopes for. So I think that you're having high hopes for something that somebody told you could be happening in the work area. But as time goes on, I think you're hearing more and more that the chances of that happening are slimmer and slimmer. In fact, I think I want to look at work. What were you expecting? What were you hoping for? And what's going on? Why is that changing as we go through this time frame? So I want to set that aside as what we're going to look at in our extended or our expanded reading for this time frame. And then there will be a link down below. You can click on that if you're interested in it afterwards. Right now, though, we're going to look at that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded during this time frame. Whew. Um, wow, this is a little bit of heavy energy, to be honest with you guys. It looks like you've got a situation where you're not, is this Gemini or someone else? What about here? Okay, so Geminis, it looks like you've got a situation with somebody that you're in relationship with. Could be any type of relationship. But they're basically saying, you know what, I don't want to keep putting energy and effort into this relationship. I'm out, basically, is what they're saying. And I think that the way they do it, I don't think you understand exactly what's going on or why they're out. And so this is leaving you not feeling really good about the situation, not understanding what the problem was to start with. And I think that by the time this time frame closes, so by the end of January 16th, I think you're basically going to have an emotional explosion over this whole situation because you're not getting the answers that you need to understand what really is happening here. Okay, so that's where I see you growing and expanding during this time frame. Looking next at something that you stand for. And then we'll look at how this person that you stood for it to feels about you. So when I say something that you stand for, this is something that somebody has asked you about or confronted you about. And so you may have had to explain this, you may have had to defend this. So what we have coming up is that you basically put into place a strategy to set down some responsibilities, maybe even walk away from a relationship, but definitely set down some type of responsibilities. Now you have to understand that for me, I see getting into a committed relationship as picking up responsibilities. So putting down responsibilities could involve walking away from a job, could involve walking away from a relationship, could involve walking away from some type of weekly responsibility. Maybe you took your parents shopping every week. Now you're not doing that anymore. So there's some type of responsibility that you are walking away from, and it's strategic. You've planned to walk away from whatever responsibility this is, and you've done that because you have other things, or something else, maybe I should say, that you really want to focus on, and you feel like that was a distraction, and so you want to not be distracted on this thing that you're focusing on. Now, after you've explained this or defended this to somebody else, how they see you, they are accepting where you're coming from. Not sure that they agree with you or that they like it, but they are accepting where you're coming from. I do think this leaves them feeling moody and probably even a little bit insecure. They're really not seeing this as something to celebrate or something to be happy about. So I really, just with the reaction that we're seeing here, I would have to say that probably this person that you had to explain or defend this to is the person who was the recipient of whatever your responsibility was that you put down. So now you're not doing whatever that was for them. And so now they're feeling a little moody and insecure about this. They're accepting it, but they're definitely not happy about it. They don't feel like whatever it is you're focusing on is really something to celebrate because of the price that it's costing, at least that it's costing for them. All right. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about the flex point during this time frame. Flex point is just when you have a lesson or experience, and it looks at, how you incorporate that lesson or experience into your life. A lot of times this lesson or experience will actually change your perspective, which changes your trajectory. So that's why I call it the flex point. It's where things start to change. So your lesson or experience here is that you've got a situation where some truth is coming out that was not out before, or at least you didn't know about it. And this is a truth about somebody who's in your life who likes to be in charge. In fact, they may even sort of step over boundaries to be in charge and take charge of things that are not theirs to be in charge of. So they like to be in charge. And there's some kind of truth coming out about this person. And this truth coming out is really bringing about a rough time for you, not only with this person, but I think in general, this truth is bringing about a rough time for you in your interactions with others, but also I think it's throwing you into a point where you're doing some soul searching for yourself because of this truth that showed up. What's going on at the same time? You have somebody in your life who has strong narcissistic tendencies. And I feel like this person, I really feel like this person is sort of rubbing this whole situation in your face where the truth came out about the other person. I feel like they're just, for some of you, it's the same person actually, is what I'm picking up. But they're rubbing this in your face about whatever this truth is. They're rubbing it in your face that number one, you didn't know about it. And really, that's the strongest thing. You didn't know about it. How did you not know about it? It was right in front of you, type of thing. They're trying to make you feel stupid. And I think also they're trying to push you into going along with things the same way you were before this truth came out, which isn't going to happen. I can tell you that without looking at the cards. I just feel like that's not going to happen. And in fact, this person is making the chances less and less the more they run their pie hole. All right. What else is going on? Mm-hmm. You are definitely standing by this idea that this is not working for you anymore. It's not working. And I think that you are letting this person know who is, like I said, they're trying to convince you to keep on going the way you were going before and trying to suck you back into the old way of doing things, even though now you know this truth. And you are very energetically letting them know, no, that just does not work for me. Okay? And then what happens next is where we see you at the end of this time frame. Let's take a peek. Okay, so what we've got going on right here, once again, is a little bit of rough energy. It looks to me like there is a goal that you've been trying to reach, and this is a goal that, oh, excuse me, that scared me. Sorry if that scared you too. There is a goal that you're trying to reach that not only takes your own energy and effort, but also takes somebody else's energy and effort too to reach that goal. That has basically been thrown off track. It's not that I don't think you'll ever reach that goal, but you may change the person that you're trying to reach that goal with, okay? And it looks to me like once that's thrown off track, I think you miss how that was moving forward before it got thrown off track. And I feel like looking at these cards here, I would say that you're walking away completely from that situation once it gets thrown off track. So walking away from this goal with, at least with this person, I think you still have this goal for the long term, but I think um, you're basically going back to the drawing board and starting over about how you're actually going to reach that goal. Okay, so that's what I see for you for the first part of the month, Geminis. Next, I'm going to look at this whole work situation and see what's going on with that hopefulness and then the more not so good news coming in. Let's see what's happening there. If you're interested in that, the link will be down below. Otherwise, I'll just see you as we continue on into the next part of the month. But anyway, thank you for being here. I'll see you in a sec. Okay, Gemini, we are back, and this time we are looking at the time frame from January 17th through January the 31st. See what kind of energies are moving through for you. See what has the potential to be going on. Of course, if you hear something that you would rather not live through, then you do have free will and you've got a heads up, so you've got an opportunity to make some changes. We just had a few cards flip, so we're going to put those on the top and start with them. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here. Thank you for the thumbs ups and for the shares on this video for other people who may benefit from it as well. Thank you also to those of you who are ordering private readings and private Reiki sessions from me. It is because of all of your support that I'm able to do what I love to do for a living. Also, thank you to those of you participating in the super chats whenever I'm live, and also thank you to those of you who are buying the expanded readings. All of that support adds up to me being able to do this. Seriously, as a professional, not on the side, moonlighting, which I think is fun. I'm very lucky I get to do what I think is fun for my living. All right, let's look at our environment, Geminis, for the last half of January from the 17th through to the end. We have a lot going on. First of all, things could be really hectic in your environment, and you want to stay on your toes to make sure things don't fall through the cracks. But I think whatever is going on, actually, you're pretty happy about that. And it looks like you are reaching some type of goal having to do with your environment that not only involves you and your effort and energy, but also other people's as well. I'm liking that environment. That looks like a nice one to me. Looks like a good one. Of course, I like it when there's a lot of things going on. Alrighty, next thing that we are looking at is your subconscious leanings. What do we have for subconscious leanings, guys? This has to do to me, I'm going to say this has to do with home, and there's something that you're thinking about with home, and I think that you have been putting money back for whatever this is around home, and you've got your thinking cap on. You're looking at this from a business standpoint at a subconscious leanings. To me, this is you're thinking about, you're saving for something having to do with a home. You may be really considering, is it time to start spending that money on whatever this is, whether it's a new home, whether it's an upgrade to the home, whatever it is. In your subconscious, you're really working out, is the timing right for me to use this money that I've got stashed back, to use these resources that are on hold. Alrighty, next thing we're looking at is learning style and also communication style here, Geminis. Yep. Just had to double check, make sure I'm talking to the right people here. Learning style and communication style. You've got a couple of things going on as far as learning. I think you have more than one person telling you some things and telling you in a very sharp and direct type of way. I think what they're giving you is new news, and I don't think they are circling around the mulberry bush to give you this. I think they're being very straight about it. Also, as far as learning during this time frame, you're paying a lot of attention to your emotions, and you're learning about yourself and what makes you tick. And interesting, you're also learning about what makes somebody else happy with you, whether this is a boss, a spouse, somebody else. You're paying close attention to what it takes to make this other person happy. All right, communication style. I do think there's somebody in your sphere of influence during this time frame that as you're communicating with them, it feels like, well, first of all, I don't think you want to communicate very much to them. And I think that you're always sort of giving them the impression, well, I've got to go now, I've got work to do, I've got to go, coach a soccer game, or I've got to go do this, or I've got to go do that. It seems like for these conversations, you've already got one foot out the door, even as you're saying hello. There is somebody else in your sphere of influence that when you talk to them, you have a very concrete agenda in mind. So whatever you say to them is sort of leading up to whatever it is that you want to talk about, and then getting to that pivotal point that you want to talk about. And then after that, I think you may not know what to say to this person, actually, even. And then there's somebody else that you're talking to that things are really emotional, and things can be actually kind of messy. Emotional and messy in some of this communication that's going on during this time frame for you and somebody in your sphere of influence. Maybe more than one somebody, but for a lot of you, that's just one person. Excuse me. Alrighty, next thing that we're looking at here, Geminis, is work. Workity work, 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 work. I think it looks to me like what you're doing is you're making plans about some type of long-term goals at work and something that you want to complete or fulfill. And it looks to me like I really don't think that you're sharing this information with anybody more than what you just have to, because I just really feel like even when you accomplish this goal or whatever, I don't see this as being a big party time, although for a lot of people, it would definitely be a time to celebrate. I think you're wanting to sort of do this quietly and under the radar, so you're not letting a lot of people know what your long-term goals are as far as work is concerned during this time frame. Should we look at inner work? Inner work, inner work, inner work. Looks to me like you feel like you've been pouring out your emotions lately, like all the time, and it's got you feeling drained. Inner work is really about learning how to control your emotions and sort of rein them in and have them under your control instead of you under their control. Okay? La da 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 da, la da da da. All right, Geminis, now we're looking at that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. This is interesting. What it looks like to me is that there's somebody that you are forgiving. You're letting go of some kind of old hurt or insult or wounds that they caused to you, and you are just forgiving this person. And then I think after you forgive them, or maybe even right as you're forgiving them, there is a new truth coming out that you hadn't seen before. And this truth was that even before you thought this was happening, this person had already sort of disengaged and stepped away from whatever situation this was that you've forgiven them for. I think what happens is you've forgiven them for the things that you knew about, and then almost as soon as you forgive them, then right away you find out something new. And now, you're kind of angry, you're kind of hurt again. So it starts this cycle of, okay, how do I forgive this person? Because it looks to me, Gemini, like you have figured out that if you hold on to this grudge, it only hurts you. That if you forgive this person, it makes your load a lot lighter to carry. La da da da. Forgiving somebody does not mean letting them do it again, by the way. I know some of you are like, I'm never forgiving them. If I do that, they'll come back and do it all over again. No. Forgiving does not mean you become a doormat. It just means you quit carrying that hurt and that pain inside of you. You let it go. It doesn't mean you allow somebody to do that to you again. A lot of people do, but we've got the choice. Okie dokie. Let's look next at those things that you stand for. So this is something that somebody needed you to explain or they confronted you about. And so now you've had to explain or defend this situation. And then we're going to look at what they think of you after you've had this conversation. All right, so it looks to me like you are moving on from some type of situation that you used to have going on with somebody who wanted to be in control and maybe was a little bit too much in control, too manipulative, maybe even too pushy. And it had gotten to the point that you didn't even enjoy being around this person anymore. So that relationship, whether it's romantic, work relationship, friendship, whatever it is, you have moved on from this relationship. You're finding somebody else to spend your time with and hang out with and just, do things with besides this person because it just didn't feel good anymore. And so that's what you're explaining or defending to somebody else. Now, how this other person feels whenever, or how they see you, basically, as you've made this explanation and talked to them about this, they see you as somebody who has sort of set yourself free and that you are continuing on a path that seems good to you. However, this does make them pretty irritable, and this could be the person that is wanting to control and wanting to really dominate things that, it's not necessarily their right to dominate. I think we saw this person during the first half of the month as well. I think they're still kind of grumpy about you making this decision that, you want to do other things besides spend your time hanging out with them and letting them tell you about every move that you should make. All right, so next thing that we're looking at is your flex point, and the flex point has to do with when you learn a lesson or have an experience that sort of changes your perspective, so it changes your trajectory just a little bit. So that's why we call it the flex point. We'll look at the lesson or experience, and then we'll look at what happens as you incorporate that into your life, and then we'll see where you are at the end of the month here. So lesson or experience that we have coming up. This looks to me like you're making some type of decision to walk back to a situation that used to leave you feeling depleted. And I think that you're celebrating this, coming back to this situation. So I'm guessing that if you're celebrating going back to a situation that used to make you feel depleted, you're expecting that you're going to have a different result this time. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. What's going on as you're coming back to this situation? I think you get a big surprise as you come back to this situation that used to make you feel depleted. You're celebrating coming back. You're celebrating this decision, but very quickly thereafter, I think you're going to be taken by surprise by the idea that this person is going to be making an unfair judgment about you and maybe, detaching from you because of that unfair judgment. It looks to me like whatever attraction there was before between you and this other person, whether it was sexual chemistry or some other type of attraction, isn't there for that other person anymore. And so they're not happy. And I think that they're letting you know pretty quick on this game that, you know what, this just isn't working for me anymore like it used to. So where do we see you at the end of the month? We see you being very independent, very strong in that independence. I think you may be taking some time off of work, it looks like to me. But there's definitely somebody in your life that you are not happy with. And I think that may be why you're taking some time off of work. I actually want to look at that. That's what we're going to do our expanded on is, you know, if you're feeling so good, why is it that you're taking time off of work? You know, because we've got you feeling good, feeling self-sufficient, you know, you've got plenty of money, plenty of, just an abundance, feeling good, but you're not working. And you're also, I think you're beating up on yourself at the same time that you're feeling good. It's kind of a contradiction here. So we need to pull that apart and look at that a little bit more and see where we really see you at the end of the month. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do after this, and I'll put the link down below in the description box so you can find that if you want to look as I pull that apart and see what that's all about. You feel free to do that. But if I don't see you there, that's great too. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for giving some of your time to spend with me. I do appreciate it. And thank you for the thumbs ups, the shares. Thank you for participating in Super Chats when I'm live and for buying the expandeds when I'm not. And of course, thank you to those of you ordering private readings and private Reiki sessions. It is because of all of you guys' support at every single level that I get to do what I love to do for a living, like we talked about earlier. So thank you very much. Everyone have a great month, and I'll see you back on the next video.